Oh yes, you know what time it is. I do believe it's 11:11. Time for a little body check, a little stretching, a little strengthening. A little breathing in and breathing out. As usual, I'm here to check in with my own body, hold myself accountable, and I invite you to join me to whatever degree you feel like it, if you feel like it. I remind you, it doesn't take any special equipment or any special moves or any special outfit or space to give yourself a little playful movement. There's where there's a will, there's a way, as they say. All that said, I'm going to take a couple breaths and just bring my attention into the bottoms of my feet, root myself into the center of the earth. Do a little shaking off of stresses, cares, and worries, just letting them all go. You can set them down gently if you want and pick them back up later, or you can just shake them off. There'll be more on the way. If the past is any indication of the future, anyhow, I'm going to take a swan dive down from the hips, that's below the waist, down here with a relatively flat back, making sure not to lock the knees, coming all the way down. As far as comfortable, I'm just hanging here from the hips for a breath or two, giving that a little time to relax and release through the back, through the belly. Wiggle that out again down here. And then I'm going to bend the knees, swing the arms back, and come into a bit of a counter stretch. Pushing those hips forward, lifting the eyes and chest. Just a gentle back bend, and then back to center. Shake that out again. This time let's roll down nice and slow. Just checking in with the spine. Seeing how everybody's doing today. Hanging here again from the hips. I'm going to come over to the left, lifting that left hand for an extra little twist. And then back to center. And over to the right, lifting that right arm for a twist. Saying hello to all the organs, giving the spine a little wringing out, back to center, and then I'm going to roll up nice and slow, just letting the arms hang, tuning into the spine, noticing where it's supple, where it's sticky, where it feels good, and where it's maybe a little sore. Just noticing that. Thank you for the love. I do appreciate it. I'm going to give myself a nice loving hug. Bending from the waist this time, so pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, rounding the spine, putting left elbow over right. Give myself a nice hug, squeezing the shoulders, pulling the shoulder blades apart, rounding the spine, tucking the chin. Just enjoying that for a breath or so, and then I'm going to release all of that again from the hips. Hanging there, and then I'm going to come up this time right elbow over left, again pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, pulling those shoulder blades apart, enjoying some nice ka-chunking through there today, surrounding the spine. And then releasing all that again from the hips. Let's roll up one more time. Stacking one vertebra on the next. Shaking all that out. I'm going to bring hands behind back, clasping palms together, rolling the shoulder blades together, rolling the elbows together. Protecting the neck a little bit here by rolling those shoulders under the neck. And just exploring that range of motion behind me, pulling with the fingers a little bit, pushing with the hips, And then I'm going to come forward again, bending from the hips, making sure not to lock those knees. Bringing the hands with me, still pulling shoulders towards each other, actively stretching through the chest and the shoulders. Draw my triceratops line over the back, actively still pulling those shoulder blades together, palms together, elbows together. And just playing with that range of motion, relaxing the belly. And then keeping the hands clasped gently. And relax the arms and just let them relax and let gravity do some passive stretching. And then again, actively pulling shoulder blades together, pulling elbows together, pulling palms together. Pulling on the chest and the shoulders, wiggling around a little in that, for exploring that range of motion. And then again, passive stretch, just releasing all the muscles, leaving hands gently clasped just to keep them back there, and letting gravity do the unwinding. One more time, actively pulling shoulder blades together, elbows together, palms together. Really stretching. I'm going to pull up with these fingers, letting them lead the body, pushing through the feet, coming up with a relatively straight back from the hips, all the way past upright into that counter stretch again, pushing forward with the hips. And then back upright, releasing all of that. Letting some blood back into the hands. I got numbness through the arms and hands that I gotta be mindful of. Let's do some little arm circles while I'm thinking of it. Just checking in with the little bones. Little circles. One way and then the other way. Let's do shoulder circles for some medium motions. I can breathe in on the way up. And exhale on the way down. Let's go the other way. Do big circles with the arms. I'm going to have to move over here so I don't hit the dome. I'm going to involve the shoulders, breathing in on the way up, and exhaling on the way down. And big circles the other way, breathing in. I'm still hitting dome over there. Sways and dips. I'm going to start with feet relatively under hips and pulling over to the left, trying to keep these hip bones relatively parallel to the floor plane, which kind of requires a little pulling down at the end of that slide. Oh, hey, you made it back. I think my camera did not like being moved. Push into each hip now. On the right side, I'm taking weight off the left. Be mindful of that hip socket. You're not trying to pop the bone out or anything drastic like that. Just a nice, enjoyable stretch, if that is enjoyable. Keeping that range of motion there. For me, that feels good. Stretching into that hip socket. It's an area that we use a lot, but sometimes don't really pay attention to stretching out very much. Pushing into each side, and then I'm going to step out in a straddle position and do hip dips. So dipping on the right, and that actually brings the stretch down into the inner thigh for me, and dipping on the left. Again on the right. Again on the left. Don't forget to breathe and smile. and on the right, and again on the left. Coming back to center, I'm going to step the feet back together under the hips, and again do hip slides just for contrast. So trying to keep weight relatively even on the feet and just sliding the hips again, kind of pulling down at the end to keep these hip bones relatively parallel to the floor. For me, that brings a stretch up into the torso here. To each side a little bit. All right, let's step back with the left foot and do a nice lunge, pulling forward with that back hip, back with the forward hip, tipping the tailbone under a little bit, looking for a nice long strong line through the core, pressing into that back heel, checking that this front knee isn't crunching past the toes, looking for a relatively 90-degree angle here on the front knee. I'm going to bring arms up, making sure not to crunch up in those shoulders. I'm going to slide this back heel forward a little bit onto that perpendicular line, opening the hips now, exploring that side plane. I'm going to slide this back heel out a little bit, bending from the hip into a side triangle aeroplane pose. I'm going to use my right arm. I'm trying to scrunch around here so I can stay in camera. Using my right arm and leg against each other for torque and support, making sure not to collapse on that side. Looking for a nice long diagonal line through the side. Lifting that left hand, gazing past fingertips for a nice gentle twist through the midsection. Then I'm going to increase that twist, bring this hand around the back side to reach for this opposite thigh. I'm gazing down past that long leg, giving the organs a nice ringing out. Good morning, hello. Unwinding that, I'm going to bring both hands down on the inside of this leg, bringing weight onto those hands, and bringing this front foot back to meet the back foot, pressing through the palms, through the spine, through the tailbone, into those heels. Let's bend the right knee, pressing into the left heel, and bending the right, or left, bending the left knee, pressing into the right. So that's trying to say, pressing into the left again, and into the right, and again into the left, and to the right, and into both, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head again, pressing into both heels, pressing the heart toward the center of the earth. Try not to slip in the hands. And then I'm going to swing this left foot forward in between the hands for a nice deep lunge. Scooch back a little and then step forward with that back foot hanging here in a forward fold. Releasing the belly, releasing the back. Let's roll up nice and slow. Stacking one vertebra on the next. Just seeing how everybody's doing still. Shake that out. Then I'm going to step back with the right foot this time, again into a moderate lunge. Checking that the front knee is not crunching past the toes, pressing into that back heel. Pulling the back hip forward, forward hip back, tipping the tailbone under a little bit, looking for a nice long and strong line through the core, abdomen and spine working together. Bringing arms up, making sure not to crunch in the shoulders. And then I'm going to shift that back heel forward a little bit onto the perpendicular line, opening the hips, exploring the side plane here, and then bending from the hip into a side aeroplane twisting triangle pose. Using my left arm and leg against each other for torque and support now. and gazing up past the right fingertips. And then bringing those fingers around the back to reach for this opposite thigh, gazing down past that long leg with soft eyes out past the leg, giving all those organs a nice wringing out. And then unwinding all of that, bringing this hand on the inside of that leg and bringing weight on the hands, bringing that front foot back to meet the back foot. Pressing through the palms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head, pressing into those heels. I'm going to bring the body forward for a little stretch here. Forgot to do that the other time. That's all right. Letting the belly drop, bringing the chest and eyes up, keeping the legs together. Just taking a breath or two to really try to relax the belly. And then lifting the hips, pressing back through those palms again. Tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head. Pressing into those heels. Then I'm going to swing the right foot forward in between those hands for a nice deep lunge again. And stepping forward, back into forward fold, hanging here. Let's do another gentle twist over to the left, gentle twist to the right. I'm going to come down from here into a squat position, just for an extra little twist while I'm thinking of it. I like to bring, I'm pressing heels down, I'm bringing my elbows inside the knees, pressing those knees apart, and then, it feels good to just press with each elbow and kind of twist the spine, doing a nice stretch there. I'm going to bring hands down and lift the butt and come back into a standing forward fold and roll back up. Shake all that out. Shake it off to the left and shake it off to the right. I forgot I put a barrette in my hair. That's doing weird things. Thanks for stopping by. I wish you a wonderful Wednesday. Wonder-filled Wednesday. Hope you're remembering to play a little bit. Take care of your body. Trying to make that rhyme so it'll be true. Yep, enjoy the day. Thanks for stopping by. John, Mark, good to see ya. I'll be seeing ya. Ciao for now.